Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is the Goob Affordable Training and Nutrition official podcast. This is episode 1. It's going to be a little rough. Let me introduce here. We have Sean Craig. Sean, introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, guys?
This is a good friend of mine. He was probably into bodybuilding before I was, and I would say to some degree, Sean Craig got me into bodybuilding. We actually went to the same high school together. I learned many years later that he was into bodybuilding, and we were never even friends in high school. But now, of course, through the only mutual hobby that we have and our only hobbies, friends in bodybuilding. So
you're probably the only person from high school that I still talk to, actually.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
We went to a shitty high school. It was bad news bears. So the first topic we want to discuss today is I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's in Wheeling, so we're both really close to the Pittsburgh Pro. I didn't get a chance to make it to prejudging today, but I'll be at finals tomorrow. We want to talk about some of the highlights, lowlights, what's going on over there, and whatnot. So I'm going to do some screen sharing here. We've got a couple people pulled up. So we both just basically went through and picked out some standouts and just want to talk about them. So if you guys can see this right now, wow, this is Steve Laureus.
I don't know yet.
I believe he was in the first call-outs. I saw a photo of first call-outs, and if he wasn't in first call-outs, correct me.
He's got to be, man. He's a freak.
If he wasn't in the first call-outs, who the fuck was? But, man, this is a guy who, great in classic physique. I don't know how he did when it was bodybuilding, but holy shit. Like, those fucking legs, that waist, everything's there. His posing was really, really awesome, too. He did some of these numbers with the whole,
the crucifix pose is probably his best pose.
That shit's wild. Like, what the fuck? Look at his triceps. Like, that's not even tricep hang. He's flexing them full. Like, just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They got some really good shots of him. One thing I noticed about all these photos, though, and Sean, I think you commented on it earlier, is like, man, Pit Pro, your lighting sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. It makes everyone look kind of soft.
Yeah, because I saw some of these guys. Like, I've seen some of these guys in person, and I'm going to see them tomorrow, and I know, like, some of these guys don't look – some of them, yeah, maybe, but, man, this guy was definitely on point. I saw some pro photos of him, not under this lighting, just outside, and he looked absolutely disgusting. And then we've got Stephen Cowell over here, who – what do you think about Steve Cowell?
I mean, he looks good. That's men's physique. I don't know men's physique that well, man. I don't really know what the criteria is. I was looking at the comparisons.
Yeah, I mean, he always healed, like always. But his back, like, I don't know if this is the lighting or if he actually came in a little soft. But it looks like he's definitely holding a little bit of water or something. I actually saw him in person at the Arnold this year. He was working out in the same gym that I was working out at, and he was doing a photo shoot. And he was like dry, full. Fucking disgusting. He looked really, really, really good. So I don't think he looks off here. I think it's just really, really, really bad lighting.
And it's prejudging. He's got 24 hours.
He just recently broke into the pro circuit too, I think. So it's kind of awesome that he made first call outs and he's like doing really fucking awesome. So good for Steve Cowell. I think he's definitely gonna worm his way into the Olympia, one of these recent days. This is a dude who fucking works, and he's got the most insane. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but his like lat, they insert it like basically his ass. It's just ridiculous, like all the way here. He's got wings just standing there. And then our next spotlight I wanted to talk about. This is a good friend of mine, Albert McHugh.
See, the lighting didn't affect him, man. He looks good.
Yeah, he looks really good in this lighting. Some of them, I think he might have done his own tan, which may have had an impact on it. He's a really tan individual to begin with, too. Maybe Stephen Cowell's not so much.
Yeah.
But he just became a pro last year. He won his class, I think class C or D in men's physique at the Team Universe. And this is his second pro show so far, and he's going to do the New York Pro in a couple weeks. This is just kind of his like tune-up show. He's got to tighten up just a little bit, maybe fix his posing. I think that's like his biggest knock against him is he has like an incredible physique, but he has this really mechanical type of posing stuff going on. And I think if he fixed that, he'd be absolutely bananas. Like absolutely.
Yeah, his back shots. I'm looking at his back shots. They look a little kind of goofy.
Let's see. Do they have any back shots posted?
Yeah, I think second row. Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's doing there.
at a really weird point, but he looks really good. Like he's been built like that since he was like 18. I've seen older photos of him, just like absolutely insane genetics, and he's just getting started. So good for him. And then who was the one guy that you wanted to point out? Oh, Alexander Fong. Yeah. I think he was definitely in the second or one of the last call-outs, but man, I've seen this guy on Instagram. He always looks – you've seen him on Instagram, right?
Yeah, he looks like he's missing a rib in this photo, like he's crooked.
Yeah. But
all of his shot,
all things considered, man definitely missed the mark for a pro show. I don't know what's going on there, but he always looks peeled in his Instagram photos, always looks really good, but damn, like, no, tons of water, tons of fat to go. Just he would be awesome on an NPC stage, not so much a pro stage. So sorry,
maybe
Alexander.
He's going with the whole approach that he's just going to pull water and he'll peak tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll peak tomorrow when it doesn't come out. And let's talk about that too. Let's talk about. I see it all the time where folks don't put enough. Well, let me actually close this this screen share. Yeah, so folks do this all the time where they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna peak and come back at finals, and you see it posted on anytime the USAs happen or junior USAs or nationals, you guys are posting like, oh, I got third call outs, but it's not over yet. We've got game day tomorrow. I'm gonna tighten up and show it. Bro, no. The judges don't look at you anymore.
Yeah, it's over. I think from all the shows that I've been to, the night shows, they just do awards. They don't. Yeah. You don't have any time to make up any ground. They're just doing awards.
Now I've seen where they say, oh, we're gonna have confirmation rounds, and I think that's just them saying, don't come back looking like shit when all your family members are here. So we're gonna scare you thinking that you're gonna actually have to do something. But I don't actually believe that they've ever rejudged anything unless you come back looking like a total pile of trash. So I don't believe that confirmation. If there's anybody out there that has that can dispute that,
you're not moving up a call out. You're not going from second to first call outs.
No, you may go from second to third or something if you show up bloated because you ate fucking 8 hamburgers. But no. So one thing I really wanted into shifting from the Pittsburgh Pro, which we may do a thing on the finals tomorrow, or maybe I'll go live while I'm there and get a little bit of footage if they don't kick me out.
I would love to go to
that. Come down, dude. I wanted to shift into talking about, so there's a ton of coaches, really, really popular coaches that have a shit ton of clients, make a shit ton of money, and they found a way of making more money. And a thing that they do is they get hooked up with a supplement company, and then they send, and I've seen a ton of these because people, for whatever reason, will send me their, hey, my coach had me on this. What do you think about it? I don't want to step on any toes, but I've seen these things. Normally I read them and say, trust your coach, but I don't want to be like, your guy's an asshole. But they'll have in their programs, oh, hey, so you have to buy this supplement, this supplement, this supplement, this supplement, and this supplement. And conveniently, what's similar about all of them, Sean?
We can give them all to you in a pre-made stack for like the low price of $399.
Yeah, but they're all from the same company.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so, what do you think? Is this ethical? Is this right? Should people be doing this? Should the client have any say in it? It's part of the plan, obviously, and you don't want to do against what you've paid some guy $200 to tell you to do. So what's the breakdown here?
Well, it all comes down to supplements are just that. They supplement your program. If you have, a great program in place and you have, your food's on point, your training's on point, and everything's going right, supplements are kind of just like that little bit. They're like the sprinkles on top of a sundae, man. They don't really fucking matter. They can make a little bit of a difference, but
yeah. Man, I looked at this one. It was, I don't want to say who the coach was, but I priced it out, and there is without a doubt in my mind that this guy was paying more for his supplements than his supplements.
Yeah,
he was paying more for fucking BCAAs and shit that he was paying for gear that he was putting in his body.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous. And it's come on, some of these coaches are making. They're charging twice what I charge, 3 times what I charge a month, and then also scalping their people with. I'm imagining I don't know if they get some sort of kickback. I'm imagining they do.
So yeah. I get a kickback from Blackstone Labs, so these guys are definitely making more money than me.
Well, you got guys like John Meadows, and I think that John Meadows absolutely believes that all of his products are great, and John Meadows has a vested interest in pushing his products because his fucking name is on the label. And if you go to John Meadows and you're going to him for training and he sends you all the shit with John Meadows products in it, you're not going to think that it's weird because you're like, oh, this makes sense.
Well, let's also say that John Meadows, if you're going to John Meadows for training, money's not really an option.
Yeah, because you're
buying
spending
a pre-made program for like $300.
Yeah, you've gone to the best, and there's a reason for it. Also, I think the fact that his programs are so expensive is why I've seen so many PDF shares of all of his fucking programs.
I have a couple of them myself.
I've never even asked for them, and I've received John Meadows programs in my inbox like 3 times. I'm like, what the fuck? I looked at them. I didn't want to use them or anything because I kind of feel like a scumbag, stealing from a guy. It's like that's money on his kid's table, on his kids.
He's such a nice guy too. He's such a cool individual. I met him this year. He's
awesome. I felt really bad about it, but damn, his shit's just expensive. Like his shit's really expensive. Well thought out.
Supplements, man. His supplements are crazy expensive too.
Yeah. But I mean, so aside from the John Meadows guy, who everybody can kind of agree, John Meadows is really intelligent. John Meadows has like pretty quality products, and I do believe that John Meadows has this instrumental hold in making sure all of his products are really quality. But you've got guys who are just pushing some random supplement company that they shacked up with, and their clients are basically at their mercy to say, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if I wanted to buy that pre-workout or run that glyco supplement or whatever the fuck they're putting them on.
No, aside from the staples, I would say you're probably better off just to stay away. Spend your money on higher quality chicken breast. Don't go to Walmart and buy the bulk stuff.
Yeah, GMOs are only great when they're in the bodybuilder, not the actual chicken.
Yeah, you don't get a secondary effect from that. If your cow went from birth to like 400 pounds in 3 weeks, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that growth hormone effect. There's no carryover.
Unfortunate. So, speaking of food, one topic we were brainstorming earlier is cheat meal versus the cheat meal. And so what we're talking about for viewers is one thing, just as a coach. So I do coaching. Some of you probably know that. But one thing that is always a thing to debug with a client is, so you got a guy and he's doing fucking awesome through the first 6 days. And then Saturday you have your cheat meal and you say, yeah, go ahead, go do it. And I always give people parameters and I say, try to hit this amount of protein and limit your carbs here and limit your fats here. And some people just say, oh, cool. And then fucking ignore that. And you get their check-in next week and you notice this giant spike in weight in this train that just took off of like crazy binge eating because they went out on Saturday with the authorization of cheat meal and took it to the next level. So Sean, weigh in on what is the difference between a cheat meal and a cheat meal?
Well, I think a cheat meal in prep shouldn't even be called a cheat meal. I mean, you should enjoy your food a little bit, but it's more of a refeed. It gives yourself a little bit of a diet break. You can kind of get away from like the mundane things of eating the same fucking 6 meals every single day.
I mean, when you're like deep in prep, it's kind of just like man, I don't want to eat shit out of a container anymore. I'll still eat, steak and a potato, but can I eat it in fucking Outback?
Yeah, like you're not so worried about maybe like all the seasonings and shit that's on it or like the dipping sauce that comes with it.
Yeah, or they put a butter sauce on it and it's 12 ounces instead of 8, but whatever, it's my one meal.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But if you go out, I mean, and I think Dave Tate had like the best cheat meal story of all time. If anyone's listening, go check his out. He had like a 12-hour cheat meal where he had the theory of like if he never stopped eating, the cheat meal wasn't over. So he would just carry like little bags of food with him everywhere he went, like M&Ms, I think, and he would just continuously eat for like, I think he did for like 12 hours. It was like 30,000 calories or something he talked about. And people have that mindset, and it really does fuck them up. Like, you can really destroy, and I'm guilty of this myself, you can destroy a lot of hard work in a very short period of time with just like completely going off the rails.
I mean, that's why some of my clients
in like 20 minutes if you really want to.
Well, some of my clients will be like, oh shit, like I don't want to take my cheat meal today. I've been doing really good. And I always say like, hey man, you get 6 meals a day. There's 7 days in a week, 42 meals. Like one of those, you'll be fine. Be moderate and you'll be okay. But if you are like a total asshole about your one like 8-hour big cheat meal binge, you get the cheesecake on, you go get like a double, like 2 hamburgers, big basket of fries, get home, kill a bag of pretzels. Like you can pull back 3 or 4 days of effort all in one big go, especially depending on how severe your cut is. Because if you're like at 16 weeks out and shit isn't really, top notch yet, and you're already kind of lean, like you're just spinning your wheels. So you're dieting for 4 days 6 days rather, and then removing 3 of those. So you're for a whole week, you're moving forward 2 or 3 days at a time. It's not worth it because you're just wasting your time at that point. You might as well just cheeseburger every other day and say fuck it.
Yeah, I think people who do that though are kind of, I don't want to say they're necessarily weak-minded, but I think they push themselves so far into a prep. I think they get so into it that they get burnt out, and when they kind of fall off the rails, it's like a heroin addict, and they just kind of go nuts. I think you could limit that a lot if they put a little bit of enjoyable food into their prep. Something that they enjoy eating to some degree. You can make anything. I mean, prep doesn't have to be all suffering. You're not eating egg whites and sugar-free ketchup the last last 6 weeks. So I think if you communicate with your coach and let them know, hey, I'm craving like this and this, you can kind of work that into a diet to some degree at some point to where you're not going without. Because I think the second you tell people you cannot have this, that's the only thing they think about.
Yeah, and there's a balancing because it's like, all right, so you're a coach and your goal primarily is to make your person show up and not look like a total asshole and make them fit in and bring them to the best conditioning with the parameter of weeks that they gave you. But then there's this other, like, just in my experience coaching, this balancing thing where it's like, okay, without a fucking doubt, I can make this guy eat less and I can make him do more cardio and I can make him do more supplements and he would show up way better, way leaner, way harder, way drier, all of the above. But if I push him to that level, do I think that he has the mental stamina, mental fortitude to not cheat, to not binge, and to not fall off the wagon? And I think you have to be really personable with your people and sort of probe into them and talk to them enough to figure out, like, fuck, no way I'm hitting the gas on this guy. Make his prep a little longer, find a later show. And I think a lot of coaches won't do that. And they just, boom, hit the gas. Oh, he fell off. Fuck that guy. He didn't have what it took. And it's like, no. Okay, maybe he didn't have what it took, but he could have if you would have modified his program for him.
I think that's the difference between, like, just a regular coach and a good coach is you get to know your clients. You have to know what they're capable of, what they expect of you, and what you expect of them. Not everyone's the same. Not everyone's a machine, man. You can't just throw the same diet or the same style of diet at everybody and it's going to work. People are going to break. A lot of people who want to compete or have aspirations to compete, at least at first, are just average people. They don't have that mental toughness that, someone who's been competing for, 15 years or even a couple years. Like Jose Raymond, for example, is a machine. You can pretty much, if you told him to eat nothing but broccoli for 6 weeks, he would do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Great.
Like,
some guys are crazy like that.
But there's a lot of people out there that would never be able to do that. They can't even fathom that.
Yeah. Some people are just, like, I have some guys, and I know I could be like, hey, Andrew Gomez, hey, Caleb Gamble, jump off the bridge. It'll get you leaner. And they'd be like, John, foot first or head first? And those guys are just, totally out there, like, absolute crazy animals. They just want to do it. And then other people, it's like, no, I'm just going to, I'll stay up here. I'll show up a little softer. That's okay. I think that's the normal, the normal perspective of things, the alternative. But you have to figure it out. And like what you said, the difference between a good coach and a shitty coach is the good coach is going to probably take the time to figure out how fucked the person is, or, how much they have in them and how much you can push them. And then be on the margin of that as long as humanly possible without pushing them over.
For example, whenever I start, taking my diet serious again, which kind of getting on the train here a little bit this past week and a half, but when I do, I would definitely go to you as a coach just because we're friends. I know you, you know me on a personal level. Even if someone was cheaper and offered to do it for cheaper or even the same price, I wouldn't go to them. I would have to go through that whole learning process, or they'd have to go through that whole learning process of knowing me. And it's just a headache that I've already come.
I already know you're a head case.
Yeah, I've already established that with you, so we don't have to go through that. So I don't have to send a diet back 10 times and go, nah, man, I'm not going to eat that. Let's figure something else out.
Yeah. Oh, I know for you, you're like, man, I fucking hate cooking. All your vegetables will be in a fucking can. You'd be a sodium.
I eat canned vegetables. I don't care, man. Like I rinse them off. So, but that's just what I do.
We got a couple questions because I posted on Instagram. People, hey, you got any questions? We'll answer them. We'll tackle them. So we got Ben Broadhurst, who's the 16-year-old kid. He is going to be a total unit of a coach one of these days. He shares shit back and forth with me all the time. I've seen his spreadsheets. He's like absolutely crazy neurotic, almost to the point where, like, unless he finds a person as neurotic as him, it's a little off-putting. So he's kind of pulling that back a little bit. But totally smart kid, really intelligent, like reads PubMed on the shitter. Just like really,
Okay.
really cool kid. But he asked, what are the biggest psychological barriers you see clients having when getting shredded? And I think number one is nobody ever realizes when they actually look good. This happens all the time where I pull a photo from like 5 weeks ago and put it side by side and email it as a response to a check-in, and people will be like, "Wait, what the fuck?" Because they're all in their head and they're like, "Oh shit, I don't look good enough. I'm not lean enough." Because they're scrolling through Instagram and looking at all these photos of dudes like full of food and water, pumped up in the right lighting, super flexing in their most attractive angle, and they see the guys 8 weeks out from his show, and maybe it's the same show, and they're like, "Fuck,
Absolutely.
I gotta get ready."
That's my biggest problem, man. I think out of all the photos that I've taken of myself over the past however many years I've been doing this, I like one. I think I look good in one of them, and I don't even have it posted online. It's one that it was a check-in photo that I sent to you, um, and it was after like a back day or something like that. I was like, I didn't have my progress pictures taken in the morning, so I posed like afterwards, and of course I was pumped up and everything, and that was it. Like other than that, like I'll get like 3 or 4 weeks into a diet, maybe 6 weeks if I'm lucky, and think I look super flat, and I'll just like binge on just bullshit, trying to fill out. I'm like, I'm losing all my size, and I probably look 1,000 times better than I do whenever I look like a water buffalo, but you get inside your head, and I mean seriously, you get inside your head, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. At least I know it is for me. And a guy that I'm kind of working with now, that Dylan that I showed you a picture of, I mean, the kid's a fucking freak, man. He looks really good, and I'm super proud of him. But he's like sending me 40, 50 messages a day, asking if he's like on par. He's got like 6 weeks, and the kid's fucking insane.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's a good strategy. I've noticed some dudes, if like dudes who have like bigger egos than others, or like are really really confident, which happens all the time. Whatever. If you're confident, fuck yeah, I'm happy for you. But I think it can work against some people in contest prep if you're too confident. And some guys, you got to be like, hey man, listen, you're a little behind. Even if they're only just a little behind, exaggerate that just a little bit, because it's
Absolutely.
like the kid who studies his ass off, like way more than he absolutely needs to because he's afraid of failing, and the fear of failure is a very motivating factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's definitely a tool. All my clients are gonna be like, "Oh fuck, he's lying to me now. Now I know." No, I never try to bullshit people too. Like if I tell them you're behind, you gotta work. You gotta
Yeah.
work. We got Kyle Smith sent in a question. He said tips for fixing a lagging chest. This is something I dealt with probably a year and a half ago. I I was like, fuck, like my chest sucks. What's going on? And then I realized I never did anything heavy. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, trying to troubleshoot it. I did incline dumbbells. I did like high set scheme incline dumbbells, like any fly you could ever think of on cables, dumbbells, whatever. And then I never actually sat down on the bench and did like a 5x3 or a 5x5 that required a spot. And so I switched to that. And my chest grew. What do you know? I did hard work. So I just think the bread and butter is some modicum of heavy barbell lifts where you need a partner to make sure that you're not
Yeah.
dying into the bar, and then supplement it with some other secondary dumbbell press that's heavy.
Absolutely. I try an approach with people. I tell them train it twice a week, and one time you're going to train it heavy. You're going to do a lot of heavy compound movements, like you said. I do like a 5-3-1, 5x5, 3x3, whatever. Just make sure it's heavy, make sure it's hard. And then the second
Okay.
time you're going to do any of those kind of movements, you're just going to pump up. You're going to do a regular standard bodybuilding workout. It's going to be intense, but it's going to be easy on your joints. Just fill it with blood, work
Yeah.
on your posing too. Uh, you know, hide your
Well,
weakness.
I think what you just pointed out is kind of like the nexus of the issue is you have people that are on the camp of heavy lifting creates huge muscle, and then you have people on the camp of I don't need to ever go heavy. I can just do high reps and high sets, and I'll get there through giant amounts of volume. And there's some meeting in the middle of them where you
Yeah,
kind of have to have both to make shit happen, because this wasn't working for me and this wasn't working for me, and I had to actually meld the two of them together to get some
absolutely,
sort of progress.
absolutely. I was actually having this conversation with somebody in the gym last week, and we were talking. I've been training now for about 10 years, and I told him training for about 10 years and like kind of researching stuff online, but trying to apply it to myself. It's taken the better part of 10 years to try to finally figure out my body. That's without working with any like serious coach or off and on. But I've been training consistently for 10 years trying to get better, and I'm just now putting it all together. So, it
And you have
takes
to
time.
really want to do, like, if you hate the fucking shit that you're doing in the gym, you're not going to get any better at it.
Yeah,
So,
enjoy
like,
it. Sure.
I think the third, cause, like, the first one is, find some shit that makes sense and is going to push you. And then second, find some sort of bridge between, heavy and volume and marry them together and so that you're happy. And then third, make sure you fucking enjoy it. Because if you don't like it, like, people ask me all the time, what's the best cardio to do? Like, I don't know. Do you
The
like
one you'll
doing
do.
cardio? Yeah. What do you want to do? Like, is
The
there
one
something
you will do.
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you, like, Stairmaster is the best cardio, which I personally believe Stairmaster is probably superior to everything else.
I do too.
But if you fucking hate the stairs and you're not going to do them when I assign it to you, what good is it? Like, fucking, you like the treadmill, the bike? What do you want to do? You want to play some tennis? I really wouldn't prefer that you play tennis, but if you do something, it's going to be better than something I assign to you and don't do.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about cheat meals just a minute ago. And the branch to that brings us to our next talking point about the rampant growth of if it fits your macros and how people have tried to shoehorn that into contest prep and what eventually happens with that shoehorning. So take it away, Sean. Give me your, because we were just talking about this. Give me your indication of what happens and where the downfalls are, what the upsides of it are.
Yeah, if it fits your macros, first and foremost, I just want to say it works for like the average person who goes to the gym, who wants to get better, who wants to improve their physique. If you are able to take inventory of your body and understand what your caloric intake needs are, and you can stay to that kind of program and not like overeat or just get all of your calories from like Pop-Tarts and shit like that, then it's great for you. When it comes to contest prep, though, you need a certain level of micronutrients and the quote-unquote clean foods that we talk about in order to perform optimally. If you notice, go 3 or 4 weeks without eating fast food, and then go have a fast food meal and see how like shitty you feel. That's your body's response saying it's not performing optimally with those kind of foods in your system. So how can you perform at a higher level in the gym, doing your cardio, recovering properly, if your body is rejecting, well, not necessarily rejecting, but not digesting those foods adequately? You're not going to be the best version of yourself following an if it fits your macros diet. Everyone digests food differently. For instance, I know that like chicken breast gives me like upset stomachs, but I can handle all kinds of fish. If I'm dieting on fish, I feel 1,000 times better. I will have tons of acid reflux and all that other shit and like burping constantly if I eat high volume of chicken every meal. Like, it just doesn't work. So if you're trying to force feed foods that you think taste good, your body doesn't necessarily give a fuck what it tastes like once it gets into your bloodstream. So you're not going to be able to perform better. You're not going to, and that's just going to hinder everything that you're putting forth. You're getting ready to spend next to $1,000 to compete in a show.
Yeah, and you're gonna fucking
want to throw it away because you like the fucking taste of certain foods. Are you serious?
Well, your criticism of it is, in a perfect world where you have a guy who's doing the chicken and rice garbage and you have a guy who's doing the if it fits your macros garbage, and they just happen to sync up and all the macros are identical. You're saying that just the quality of food is way worse in an if it fits your macros diet because it's like this hyper processed stuff that does all this garbage and bullshit shit. Now that's like a perfect world where you have a guy who's if it fits your macros, like balls on point and everything works out and they sync up to the guy who's doing the things the old school way that all the professionals are using that way. But my criticism of if it fits your macros is the fact that this sync up never happens because all of these, one, your food's never going to be consistent, so your measuring's going to be really fucked. Like, I measure the same shit on a prep diet every single day. The chicken is always weighed the same way. The beef is always weighed the same way. I buy the same type of beef. Like, I buy the same type of rice. All the food is consistent. So even if the shit that it says on the back, the macros, or even if MyFitnessPal, whatever I'm using, doesn't have the right numbers in it, my food's progressively shrinking. My coach is pulling that shit from me. And so it's all going to fall in line with me. It's like your scale. Your scale says a number. It says 200 pounds on it, but that's relative to the scale, and that number doesn't really mean much other than you were 200 pounds on that scale, and you could be 205 on another and 195 on a different one. But when you go, so that's good for, classic bodybuilding type of thing. But when you go to if it fits your macros and your food is crazy every single day because you're just saying, oh, fuck, I'll have a McDouble, and yeah, oh, well, it looks like there's 24 grams of protein and 18 grams of fat in that and 56 grams of carbs. I don't know if those are accurate, but I think they're close. Oh, well, fuck it. Like, this works for me. But the asshole getting paid $10 behind the counter, just like squirt gun that mayonnaise. Have you seen the mayonnaise squirt gun?
I love that thing.
He just railed the shit out of it, and you are at like 32 grams of fat, bro.
Absolutely.
And tomorrow, when you come and get one again, it's probably not going to be the same way because they have a different person working. So that's my main criticism of it is there's no control, and bodybuilding is about like neurotic amounts of control and making sure that everything is the same and that you have like everything calibrated. And if it fits your macros, kind of spits in the face of that. I think that some guys can do it, but from what I've seen, the guys who do if it fits your macros and do it right and look good, it's more like I ate chicken all day and minimal amounts of carbs to reduce my fat and carb intake so I could eat a donut at the end of the day and put it on YouTube.
That's what I was getting ready to say too. Think about it, man. If it fits your macros, in a contest prep diet would be so much more stressful than having everything planned out because these guys are justifying eating whatever they're craving at the time. So they're not prepping their meals for days on end. Like, whereas if I'm cooking chicken, I'm cooking it for the week. Or fish, I'm cooking it for the week. These guys are waking up and just having whatever they feel like. And at the end of the day, they're playing catch up. Why would anyone want to do that? You are setting yourself up to fail from the time you get out of bed all the way through your contest prep. There's no way that you are going to be able to stay consistent with your calories and your nutrients, and your coach is never going to get a good feel for what you're doing.
I'm glad you bring that up because the other really obnoxious factor of it is if you have a client that insists on doing it if it fits your macros is I don't know what the fuck you're eating.
Exactly.
And so when I try to build a peak, that interrupts as much as your schedule or doesn't interrupt as much as your schedule as humanly possible. And by schedule, I mean what the fuck you're putting in your body and how you react to it. Because I mean, I know some dudes who will blow up if they eat a bagel and then cream of rice doesn't fuck with them. Or oats are really bad and cream of rice is good, or vice versa. Or they need Fruity Pebbles, or if it's not Apple Jacks, they're out. You know, everybody has like some sort of little sensitivities here and there, and it's just whatever the product is. So if I have no idea what you've been eating, and I assign some sort of, even if I'm trying to be really conservative and hit you with like jasmine rice, like most people, jasmine rice totally fine. But maybe you never eat it because you have like these weird stomach issues with it and you've never actually figured that out. And then you're going to, if it fits your macros, and I'm not going to let you do if it fits your macros for your last, your peak week, that's going to be all calibrated. It's super hard to bring you in properly if I'm going to be feeding you stuff that has a big question mark on it. And if we were working with jasmine rice at 16 weeks out and you look like a bloated mess, I'm going to find that out, pretty quickly and be like, hey, let's change that carb source and figure out why. Like, you got something going on there. We'll switch it for oats or whatever, sweet potato, whatever you want to do. But it's really hard to calibrate that when your client is eating literally whatever the hell they want. Peak week is terrible. A total
Yeah, that's what I was saying about me with chicken. Like, I know that I have a hard time eating large amounts of it over a long period of time. I can have it one meal a day. I get over 10 ounces of chicken, and I'm done. I'm going to have acid reflux for the next 12 hours. I'm not going to eat any of my other foods. So if people who are doing if it fits your macros, they might just think that that's how they're supposed to feel because they probably have never had like a strict diet to where they actually feel good.
Yeah, you got to calibrate this stuff. It's different for everybody. Like, it's all going to be food and it's all going to have protein, carbs, and fat, but it doesn't have to be this, rigid chicken, rice, oatmeal, eggs. There's a ton of foods that fit those metrics. It's just pick them and stick to them and ride them out, and you'll see way better results. There's a reason all the pros do it. If you could point to like a dozen pros that look awesome and show up on stage, and if it fits your macros out their ass, I'd probably, I don't know about that. I don't think you can find 12. It'd be really hard. I can find 12 that don't do that real easily. Yeah. They're all at the Olympia. But,
dude, that Regan Grimes dude is like slamming muffins every day, and he's coming in. I mean, I doubted him. It was funny. I seen just a side note. I seen Nick Trigilli commented on one of his Instagram posts like 2 days ago. He's like, "Did you start prep yet?" He was huge though. I mean, he was puffy as shit, but I mean, he's pulling it together.
Now, what happened with him at Oxygen? Because I know he was there, and then his girlfriend flew in or something, and then like a week later, he was just back in America.
They let him go home on like a leave. I think they gave him like a just go home, spend a week with your family kind of thing. And I don't think he could handle it. First of all, man, Regan is a fucking freak anyway, and he went from what was he like high twos to like 320 in like 3 weeks over there, just a monster. And I think he felt like shit. I think most of us. I know I can never walk around 300 pounds, man. It's not gonna happen.
He had the death bloat in his face. It looked really bad.
He probably doesn't like having sleep apnea, man. Like that's what people don't realize. When you get that heavy, you develop sleep apnea, and he probably
the last time I saw that look in somebody's face was at the 2015 Arnold. Me and you were standing in line waiting to get our at call tickets, and Rich Piana runs through because he was late as fuck. And it was right. It was right. He
was a night shade of purple.
Bigger by the Day was just coming out. And he was like 330 pounds of just like gigantic human being, just like bloated to shit, like his face was all fucked.
Drinking Cocoa Pebbles.
Good morning.
Yeah. God, that was such a good series. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right.
He left that Sunday because we were standing on it, and he left because he said his dog got out or something back in California, but I think he had some sort of actual medical issue. And
I think he did have it because they flew him out really fast. They kind of snuck him out. And one of his guys working at the booth said that he had like a medical emergency. He let that kind of slip, and then it came out that like there was something else going on. But I think the guy was slamming like 100 IUs of insulin like multiple times a day. So
yeah,
and he was pretty open about it. I mean, he didn't put that on YouTube, but he was pretty open about it. If you talk to him, I think he was like up to like 240 or 250 IUs of like Humalog a day or something.
He had all the Rice Krispies treats and the Lenny and Larry's cookies sitting on the desk.
He was drinking Cocoa Pebbles, blending up Cocoa Pebbles and just drinking them with his like sweet potato powder that he like sells to people for $80. Yeah, $80 a tub.
You know what? I give Rich Piana ultimate dignity points because in his Bigger by the Day video, any other schmuck would have seen that as an opportunity to sell all of his fucking products.
Absolutely.
And Rich Piana, he featured all of his products in it.
Yeah.
Like his pre-workouts, his BCAAs, his all-day UMAs, whatever the fuck it was. He featured it. But he's doing in like one of the first episodes, which had, all the views because you just watched episode 1. One of the first episodes, he's blending up and he's using his real food in his Ninja blender. And he's scooping it in, and he's going, hey, guys, this stuff's real good. It's good for if you're using insulin. I think he had that discussion. And he said, I developed it on my own, but it's really expensive. And if you can't afford it, go buy oatmeal. It's exactly the same thing.
Exactly
it's
right.
Carbs. It just doesn't taste as good. And I remember being like, fuck, Rich Piana, why do people dislike you? Like, you are a titan of industry. Like, he's featuring his products while not looking like a shill and definitely... sold some real food, but sold some real food to people that understood what they were buying, not people that thought, oh, I need to buy this blended oatmeal to look like Rich Piana.
And I have to say that Rich Piana was probably one of the most genuine dudes in the industry when it came to caring about his fans. And you hear that across the board. Every other company, like big name, celebrity, or whatever you want to call them in this industry, they will tell you that Rich Piana was the hardest working individual and he cared about his fans more than anybody. He would literally get fined by police for not leaving expos, and he would just pay the fine. He didn't give
Well, that's why it was real sad when we were just at the Arnold this year, and the 5% line, which has for years been the dominant 2-3 hour, it's the go fuck yourself line, where you're like, my day is dedicated
that's the day. Yeah, you're waiting
to sit on that big couch with Rich Piana and get out angled. And then we go this year, and what was the line like?
15 people.
Yeah,
maybe.
It was like
you waited 5 minutes.
Yeah. I tried to buy a T-shirt, and they were like, "Oh, we don't have any. We're sold out." Like, what? Seriously?
I think this will probably be the last year for 5%, though. Honestly, I heard they cut all their athletes.
Yeah, a lot of them dropped out. I didn't stick around too long, and I was only there, I think, on Sunday this year. But it was Saturday and Sunday, but it wasn't like it used to be for sure. It's sad to see.
Yeah, I did all 3 days, and I have to say this was probably actually a down year for the Arnold. They had when we went, when we go 2-3 years ago together.
2015, so 3 years ago.
Yeah, and we would just get stuck in the middle of hallways
in the fart cloud.
Yeah, we were in no lines. We were just stuck there for a half hour, That never happened once this year. There was no time where I was ever like stuck in a line. I never waited 3 hours for anything. Um, it seemed to be a lot less people.
Yes, I mean, I noticed the same. I was there on Sunday, so that definitely changes. Did I go on Saturday, Sunday, or just Sunday?
I don't know.
I can't recall. But either way, I remember being like, oh, shit. Like, I walked right up to Lee Priest and got a photo with him. Like, I walked right up to a couple guys. Not Reagan Grimes, but the guy from Canada, Classic Physique,
maybe?
Mr. Bumstead. I walked right up to him, and, like, he didn't
Talk
have a lot.
about a fucking freak, dude.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Speaking of, we wanted to talk about Classic Physique, too.
Yeah.
And Classic Physique in the context of NPC introduced a few years ago. It was this new class. First year it came out, not a lot of participation. Now you go to shows, and especially if it's like an NPC show, what's the difference now between two years ago when it came out?
Well, what was it? 2 years ago, you probably had. I mean, bodybuilding has been on a decline for a while, so like the classes have like they're not super deep like they were maybe 10, 15 years ago. I think regular physique had an impact on that, but they're pulling out more people. You know, classic physique is definitely probably. I don't know if it's as popular as physique yet, but I think it could be. But
I think it appeals to a lot more people, only because physique's kind of gotten like made fun of for like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah,
but I've gone to shows and it's like, man, if that classic guy crossed over into bodybuilding, he would have been the best guy here, bar none. And a lot of times that happens anyway, where it's like the guy that fits into the classic cat. So it's not even really that restrictive because there's a lot of shows where the guy who could do both won the whole show. So it's not like, you know, bodybuilding in the local level was all these dudes who are so fucking huge they don't fit into the category. There's a lot of guys who could do both and still win.
Absolutely. I think Classic Physique was a good decision by the NPC. Obviously, it's going to generate more money for the sport and for the promoters and stuff. But I think they made the mistake last year of raising the weight limits 5 pounds.
They did, yeah.
Because it took a lot more away from the open guys. You know, if, for example, if I was going to compete, I would definitely do Classic Physique. It gave me an outlet to compete without having to put on board shorts. For sure.
Yeah. No board shorts, no bikini.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not
wear
like,
your Under Armour.
Yeah, like I just don't have those like freak genetics. Like I don't have like the legs that like you guys got to just be like those mass monsters. But Classic Physique's a good division for someone like built like me. You know, just a naturally smaller guy who wants to put on size and doesn't want to just look like a Ken doll.
I think the one big problem with it though is so like they use the sliding scale of weight and it doesn't slide enough. I don't think. Yeah. So you'll go and Class B is stacked, Class C is fucking stacked, and there's 2 dudes in Class A. Yeah. And I don't think that it's because there's not enough short bodybuilders because that short and bodybuilding go hand in hand. I think it's that dudes just can't fit into it. Like I wasn't even like I wasn't super ripped and shredded, but I was pretty lean for my show, and even like dehydrated on the scale, I'm 5'4", and I was 174 pounds. And I would have needed to be 160 or 164 to make classic. And there wasn't there was no water in me. There was no 10 pounds to go. Like I would have to be on the verge of death to be in classic physique.
Do you see yourself as a classic physique bodybuilder though? I mean,
if I could meet the class, I'd fucking do it. Like if I could, throw the shorts on and weigh in, I'd do it. But
do you think your physique? Do you think your physique qualifies as what they're looking for in class physique? I mean, you're a big guy, man. I mean, like wide. Like I said, you just got like crazy like proportions. And I think that's kind of what they were like afraid of in classic physique.
I challenge you this: look on the NPC rules for classic physique. Look on the NPC rules for bodybuilding. They say the same fucking thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Conditioning, symmetry, size, shape. Like
no, you're absolutely right.
It's the same thing. So you got guys that are like, "Oh, is my physique classic enough?" It's like, I don't know, man. Can you get on stage, be peeled, kind of large, and pose?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
those are all true, and you meet the weight limit. That's all you need. You don't need like you see the guys and they put all their focus on their posing routine, and the judges are they could care less. The posing routine's worth this, and your prejudging is worth all of the points. And so you see guys do like. They throw some weird flair into their poses and tilt sideways and stuff. But in all reality, if you were the most symmetrical. You had the most size for your for your proportions. You were proportionate, symmetrical, and as the leanest guy there, and you posed in the traditional bodybuilding poses, you're gonna win. You don't need to do that weird offset shit. Just show up properly, and more importantly, fit within the category. Your height and weight, you're good to go. Peeled to the bone, big, full, round, and you pose properly, you're gonna win. You don't need to be classic.
So you think that you think they should raise the weight limit for like the shorter guys?
I think that it should be like, because they right now they have it's like a ratio, and the ratio needs to be better for shorter folks.
Yeah.
Like it definitely needs to be. If it was like 5'4" and 170, that makes sense. Because I've never met a taller guy who had a ton of trouble fitting in unless they did something obscenely wrong, or they were like, "Bro, you're definitely not in classic for any way, shape, or form." But shorter guys, a ton of them, and I'm not even I'm not even that big, and I would be really pulling weight and really suffering to try to get into classic. So I think if my small ass has problems getting into it, then it needs to be bumped, 3 or 4 pounds at least to make it a little more attainable.
Okay. Yeah, I can see.
That's what I think. But
I think the other guy's weight is on point.
We just hit 11 o'clock, so we got to get off of here.
Okay.
Thanks for being on, Sean. Thanks for discussing everything, and thanks to everybody for watching. My name is John Dorsey. I'm the owner of Goob Affordable Training and Nutrition. That is www.goobutraining.com. And we're here on the show today this is Sean Crago. And Sean Crago, what is you're representative for what, Blackstone Labs?
Yes, sir.
And what's your discount? Do you have a discount code or?
Yeah, it's my Instagram. It's Buzz Chillington.
And what's your Instagram?
Buzz Chillington, the same thing. It's a play on Family Guy's Buzz Killington.
Well, there you have it, folks. Instagram.com/Buzz Chillington if you want to follow this charming motherfucker. And if you are looking for any training services, go to goobutraining.com and
sign up. How often do you want to do this?
Weekly, man.
Okay. I was just wondering, let the people know. Let me know when.
I'm going to try to get a couple more people on next week, and we'll have you back.
Okay, cool.
All right. See you guys.